So my name is Norman Popin. I'm faculty with NSCC in the Electrical Apprenticeship Program, also a private woodland owner. Getting into the birch syrup was kind of a by accident thing. Literally the days working in the woodlot and kind of looking around at the trees and what can we do with this. Again, it was a cutover lot, so kind of trying to figure out what are we going to do with this. Getting the firewood was my primary goal at the time, and then kind of what else is there. We have the red maples, we know about maple syrup, so I started looking up to see if they were able to do it. You always know the sugar maples were, but reds wasn't sure. And in the process kind of tripped over an article on birch syrup and then tried to find out a little bit more about it, and that's how we ended up going down that road, purely from curiosity. Our woodlot is situated in Cumberland County in Shinnemakas area. Again, lovely little area, lots of farming community, rural, beach is not too far away. So kind of a lovely little corner of the county. So managing our woodlot, we've been trying to do an Acadian forest, so a mixed species of trees. By doing that, of course, we have a lot of different tree species in any given area. We're looking at actually with the syrup and production stuff, not interfering with that process, just kind of working within it. Of course, there are different species of birch trees. There's gray birches, white birches, some yellows as well. We primarily have the gray and white birch on our lot. So we're just trying to actually capitalize on that, I guess, to see what we can make out of it while we're growing other species on that same lot. So trying to make this as economic and environmentally friendly as we can. So what can we do with this land as it's growing and actually bring some stuff together. Log trees require a nice long stem with a short crown. In the case if we want to produce sugars, we tend to want a bigger crown and lower stem. So really I can use the poorer quality trees from a lumber perspective to actually do the tapping, as long as it's not interfering with any of the other growth in the forest. So we're able to manage this along the way. So our lot's about 110 acres is what it's registered at. So I kind of consider it our 100-acre woods that we tend to play with. And 100 acres, there's lots of room to actually do some different things in different areas. Each area of the lot has a different mix. So we just kind of work with whatever's there and trying to make it the best that we can. So the process of making birch syrup follows very similar to actually producing maple syrup. We tap the trees just like you would a maple tree. You can either use buckets or some tubing to collect the sap. And of course you process the sap or getting rid of the water to concentrate the sugars that are into it. So it's very similar. The differences would be the birch trees actually run after maple. So when maples are starting to bud out is actually when your birch trees are starting to run. So that causes some other issues, a bit warmer, so a little bit higher bacteria and stuff that we have to deal with. So we'll do ultrafiltration to try and get rid of those. Maple syrup is about a 40-to-1 ratio. The birch syrup is about 100-to-1, so we have a lot more water to get rid of. So reverse osmosis, which is technology that's used in the maple industry, we are also employing for this to get rid of the water very efficiently. A lot less energy, of course. From there, we're concentrating the sugars. The next step of the process in maple industry, we just run it over a wood-fired and high temperature and boil the rest of the water off. Unfortunately, with the birch syrup, it's actually temperature sensitive. Therefore, it doesn't like heat very much, so we had to modify our process to concentrate. So we actually do it under vacuum. So under vacuum we can actually boil it at a much lower temperature. By doing that we can actually not caramelize the sugars. It's fructose based instead of sucrose, very temperature sensitive. So we'll do a vacuum evaporation process in order to keep the temperature low, and then with that we can actually produce a nice light syrup. So birch syrup is actually out in the marketplace. They do use existing maple equipment to produce it, but of course the final product tends to be a very, very dark syrup. In these processes, we're boiling water at our 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius, which is, we figured out after some trial and error that that's way too hot. The sugars are very sensitive to heat, which is why we started with this vacuum process. To my knowledge, I don't know of anybody else that's really gone down this road. Keep kind of looking out there in industry, but any of the stuff that is marketed is very dark, on the darker side of things, using that maple equipment. And of course it tends to have that burnt, if you wish, or a very dark bitter flavor to it. So the stuff that we're making is actually quite light and sweet. It seems to be what most people in the market would like to have from our testing and the people that we kind of let sample it, and some other people that I talked to. It definitely is the preferred one as opposed to the darker stuff that we've tried as well. So that's kind of why we've gone down this road, and again, it's been a challenge, and somebody kind of placed that challenge in front of me, said that it couldn't be done commercially. So we're gonna challenge that a little bit and see what we can do with it.
My name's Stacy Popin, and I'm a social worker. I'm involved in the syrup operation with Norm, my husband. Several years ago, he was doing some research and discovered that you could tap birch trees. So that started our journey. And it's been several years, I guess it's probably been about 7 or 8 years that we've been playing with the birch syrup. So my role, I guess, is support person, and I also help Norm. We bounce ideas off each other, we have conversations. I can run the process myself, so I guess a partner maybe. What Norm's doing is unique. I don't know that anyone else is doing exactly what he's doing in processing the birch syrup. We've sampled birch syrup from other people who've made it, and it tends to be a very dark, bitter substance. So with the temperature piece of it, which is what the vacuum evaporation part's about, it's unique because I think we're the only ones that are doing it that way. And it's impressive because he's created a different kind of product. Norm's a very smart guy, so he gets an idea and he does the research, and we do all kinds of testing and developing the product. Yeah, so it's impressive to see what he can create. The lighter product, it has a more sweet flavor, almost like a honey flavor. The darker product tends to be more bitter, definitely not sweet. Some people have compared it to molasses. We've had the opportunity to have several people try it over the years. Last year we had probably 75 people try it, and there was only one person who didn't like it, and that was a child. So everyone else enjoyed it. They had positive things to say about it. Usually compared it to either molasses, the darker colored product, and then the lighter product was more of a honey flavor. Norm really is a very smart person, and he's creative, and he enjoys developing products, and someone's told him that he couldn't do it, so he took up the challenge, and he's trying to prove that yes, you can do it, and it develops a really nice product at the end of the day.
So again, it is a challenge to make, there's no doubt about it. Again, with the 100-to-1 ratio, it kind of turns a lot of people off, figuring that it's not possible to do. With today's technology, the RO, the ultrafiltration, we can actually turn this around. We're playing with some other energy efficiency side of things to be able to get rid of the water and using these low temperature sources and stuff. So it is a challenge, but I think it's very doable now with where technology is, what we have out there existing, and playing with things a little bit. So I have no problem taking on that challenge and seeing if we can figure out a better way to do this. I think we're pretty close, so that's kind of why we've been keeping the focus onto it. From a value perspective, it is a high value product if we can do it, so again, there's good potential there for anybody involved. So I think any of these things, these experiments and stuff, there's been lots of trips that we made along the way, mistakes, it didn't quite work out the way we thought. This is our learning in general. I think people need to actually take opportunities to actually play with stuff, learn. Don't be scared to make mistakes. This is a learning process. All of these things are learning processes. If we're scared to actually fail at something, we're never going to actually move forward or learn. On the other side of things, actually talking with people, getting out there, seeing what's going on, figuring some stuff out, having the conversations. That to me, see what people think of it. That's kind of been the interesting thing. I get more of a kick out of other people's reactions than actually what I'm doing, just to see how it actually strikes people and what is their reaction. The fact that it's something different. Don't be scared to actually try something different for a change. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that side of things.